One face. One single member's face, blown up on massive banners, lining the busiest streets of one of America's biggest cities, positioned directly along the path leading straight into a sold-out stadium. Not the group photo. Not a generic tour poster. His face, alone, welcoming an entire fandom into Chicago. And that's before you even get to the mayor personally recording a welcome video, or the tallest skyscraper in the city turning an unmistakable shade of purple. If you think you understand what BTS means to a city like Chicago, what just happened over the past 24 hours is going to completely recalibrate that idea, and one name in particular is at the center of it all: Jimin. Stay with me, because the story behind these images is way bigger than a simple concert, and by the end you're going to understand exactly why this week, and this member specifically, is being called one of the biggest individual spotlight moments K-pop has ever produced in an American city. Let's start with the moment that broke the internet first. A video began circulating showing Chicago's own mayor, Brandon Johnson, standing in front of an American flag, looking directly into the camera and delivering a message that fans immediately could not believe was real. In the clip, the mayor looks straight into the lens and says, plain and simple, "Welcome, Army." Not a generic tourism statement. Not a vague nod to a big event happening in town. A direct, personal welcome to BTS's global fanbase, using their actual fandom name, recorded specifically for this moment. According to the account that shared it, this video had actually been sitting ready since July, waiting for the perfect moment to release, and that moment turned out to be right now, just as BTS touches down in the city. The post explained that the mayor's own office specifically requested this video be shared, which means this wasn't some random staffer's idea. This came from the top. A city government coordinated an entire welcome campaign for K-pop fandom the same way you'd expect for a president, a royal visit, or a championship-winning sports team returning home. And if that alone wasn't enough to make your jaw drop, here's where the story escalates into something almost cinematic, and this is the part where Jimin takes center stage. While the mayor's video was spreading online, a completely different set of images started popping up from the streets of Chicago itself. And these ones hit different because they weren't digital, they were physical, towering over real streets that real people drive down every single day. Banners. Actual large-scale banners lining lampposts in some of the busiest areas of the entire city. And splashed across them, in bold lettering, two words: Jimin Effect. Fans are calling this the Jimin Effect USA campaign, and it is not subtle. These banners are positioned near Soldier Field itself and the Field Museum, stretching from the lakeshore all the way into the roads that funnel directly into the heart of downtown Chicago. Think about the sheer scale of that for a second. This isn't one small poster tucked in a corner somewhere. This is a coordinated visual campaign placed strategically along the exact routes that hundreds of thousands of fans are going to be walking and driving through this week. Anyone heading toward the stadium, anyone exploring the lakefront, anyone just going about their normal day in one of America's biggest cities is now walking straight past Jimin's face, over and over again, whether they're a fan or not. And out of every single member of BTS, out of 7 globally recognized superstars all arriving in the same city for the same shows, it's Jimin's face that fans are pointing to as the centerpiece of this particular campaign. Not a rotating set of all 7 members. Not a generic group silhouette. His image, specifically chosen, specifically placed, specifically named in giant lettering across the banners themselves. For a fandom that tracks every single detail like this with obsessive precision, that choice did not go unnoticed for even a second. Within minutes of the first photo surfacing, fans were already dissecting exactly why his image was the one selected to represent this welcome campaign, and the theories ranged from marketing logic tied to his individual popularity in the American market to simple timing, given everything else already swirling around his name this year. Whatever the reasoning behind it, the visual result speaks for itself. In a city about to host 7 of the biggest stars in the world, it's one man's face doing the talking on the streets. And just when you think the city couldn't possibly go any further to mark this moment, the Skyline itself joined in. One of the most recognizable buildings on the entire planet, the tallest building in Chicago, lit up in a deep, unmistakable purple. For anyone who doesn't know what that color means in this fandom, Purple isn't just a random aesthetic choice, it's the color, the actual symbol of the bond between BTS and their fans, tracing back to a phrase the group made famous years ago about trust and love that lasts. Seeing the tallest skyscraper in the city bathed entirely in that specific shade of purple, visible from miles away across the lake, visible to literally anyone looking at the Chicago skyline that night, is the kind of moment that turns a concert into a citywide cultural event. Fans capturing the tower from across the water described it exactly how you'd expect: pure disbelief that a building of that scale, a building known worldwide as one of the tallest structures in the country, would transform itself just to say welcome to 7 guys and their fandom. Let's take a step back for a second, because it's worth really sitting with how unusual this entire sequence of events actually is. Cities light up landmarks for championship wins, national holidays, or visiting dignitaries on official state business. Getting an entire skyline to change color for a touring music act is an extremely rare honor, one most artists never receive in their entire careers. Combined with the mayor's video and the banner campaign across downtown, it starts to look less like a single gesture and more like a full-blown coordinated civic rollout, the kind of thing city tourism boards only sign off on when they know exactly how much economic and cultural weight is about to walk through their streets. So, why is all of this happening right now at this exact moment? Because BTS has landed in Chicago for 2 massive sold-out shows at Soldier Field, and this stop is being treated as one of the most significant moments of their entire comeback tour. This marks the group's first time performing in the city in years, following their return from mandatory military service, and local and state officials clearly understood the scale of what was coming. The state of Illinois itself got involved at the highest level, with the governor officially declaring these 2 show days a special commemorative day in honor of the group's arrival, an extraordinary and rare move for any touring artist, let alone one from another country. That kind of proclamation typically gets reserved for major civic milestones or legendary hometown heroes, not for a 2-night concert stop. And yet here we are, watching an entire state government put its name behind welcoming this fandom the way you'd expect for a historic homecoming. Think about what it actually takes for something like that to happen. A governor's office doesn't just wake up one morning and decide to declare an official day for a concert. There's paperwork, there's internal discussion, there's someone somewhere making the case that this moment is significant enough to deserve that level of recognition. Local fan communities reportedly worked for months alongside cultural organizations in the city specifically to push for that kind of formal acknowledgement. And it worked. The proclamation went through. 2 nights in Chicago now carry an official government stamp, something that will exist in state records long after the lights on Soldier Field go dark and the tour moves on to its next city. Local fan communities have been organizing around this moment for months, working directly with cultural organizations in the city to make sure this arrival didn't just come and go quietly. And it clearly worked, because what started as grassroots fan energy has snowballed into an entire city visibly transforming itself. Official government messaging, illuminated skyscrapers, and full-scale advertising campaigns all pointing toward the same 2 nights at one stadium. The tour itself has been described as the biggest global K-pop tour ever attempted, spanning dozens of countries and dozens of shows, and Chicago landing 2 sold-out nights on that route, backed by this level of civic celebration, tells you everything about how far this phenomenon has traveled from its early days as a niche international fandom into something that now moves entire city governments to action. It's also worth remembering just how long this particular return has been building. This tour represents the group's first time performing together as a full unit after each member individually completed South Korea's mandatory military service, a process that took years and effectively paused the group's collective activities entirely. For a fandom that waited through years of solo releases and uncertainty about when a true reunion tour would happen, watching that comeback translate into full-blown civic celebration in city after city adds extra emotional weight to everything unfolding in Chicago this week. Now, let's talk about why the Jimin Effect specifically became the phrase fans latched onto for this moment, because it says a lot about where the conversation currently sits. Jimin has been at the center of an ongoing wave of attention recently, from record-breaking engagement numbers online to increasingly visible solo recognition across entertainment and fashion spaces. Seeing his image specifically chosen for a citywide banner campaign, positioned along the exact paths leading straight into the stadium, is being read by fans as a direct reflection of that momentum. It's one thing for a fan base to celebrate an artist online. It's an entirely different thing when that celebration spills out into physical infrastructure in a major American city. Banners that ordinary Chicago residents who've never listened to a single BTS song are going to walk past on their morning commute this week, whether they know who he is or not. There's also something worth noting about the timing of all this. This wave of Chicago celebration is landing during the same stretch where Jimin's name has already been trending across multiple different storylines, from engagement chart rankings to ongoing conversations about his individual global reach. Seeing his face specifically highlighted on physical banners in one of America's biggest cities, right as those other storylines are already circulating, has fans connecting the dots and treating this as further proof that his individual pull within the group has reached a level that local marketing campaigns are now actively capitalizing on. Put all of these pieces together, and you start to see the real shape of the story. A mayor personally recording a welcome video specifically for this fandom. A governor issuing an official state proclamation for 2 concert dates. Physical banner campaigns stretching across the busiest corridors of the city, with one member's face doing the talking. A skyscraper, one of the tallest in the country, lit entirely purple and visible from miles away. This isn't just fans hyping up a concert anymore. This is what it looks like when a fandom's cultural footprint becomes large enough that civic institutions decide it's worth their own official participation. And for the fans who've been part of this journey since the early years, watching a random Tuesday commute in Chicago turn into wall-to-wall purple lighting and government-issued welcome messages has to feel almost surreal. This is a group that started out being dismissed by plenty of people as just another boy band, now literally reshaping how a major American city markets itself for a single week. Local businesses are leaning into it. Tourism boards are leaning into it. The Skyline itself is leaning into it. When was the last time you saw a mayor's office specifically request that a welcome video be shared to greet a fandom, timed perfectly to their arrival? That's not standard concert promotion. That's a city acknowledging, out loud and on camera, that this fandom's presence matters enough to speak directly to them. It's also worth pointing out just how quickly all of this spread once the videos and photos started circulating. Within hours, the mayor's welcome clip, the purple Skyline footage, and the banner photos were being shared across every major fan account, racking up thousands of shares and reactions almost instantly. That kind of organic, explosive spread doesn't happen for just any local news story. It happens when something taps directly into a global community that's been waiting years for a moment exactly like this, a community spread across dozens of countries, all suddenly united around footage of one American city rolling out the purple carpet. And that's really what separates this moment from a typical tour stop. Concerts sell tickets. Concerts fill stadiums. But concerts don't usually convince a governor's office to issue an official proclamation, or convince a mayor to personally record a welcome message months in advance, or convince a city to change the color of its skyline. Those are gestures reserved for moments a city genuinely believes matter to its identity and economy. Whatever conversations happen behind closed doors to make all of this happen, the end result speaks for itself. An entire city visibly rearranging its public face around 2 nights of a concert. Whatever your personal relationship to BTS is, whether you've been following since the earliest days, or you're just now hearing about this because a purple skyscraper caught your attention online, what's unfolding in Chicago right now is a genuinely rare snapshot of just how far this phenomenon has traveled. It's moved past sold-out stadiums, past chart records, past viral moments online, straight into the physical infrastructure and official messaging of an entire American city. Banners on lampposts. A governor's proclamation. A mayor speaking directly to camera. A landmark building glowing purple over the lakefront. 2 nights, 1 stadium, and an entire city rearranging itself around it. So here's what I want to know from you. Does this level of citywide celebration prove that BTS has permanently crossed over from music phenomenon into full-blown cultural institution, the kind cities officially roll out the welcome mat for? Or do you think this is just a taste of what's still coming as the rest of this tour rolls through even bigger stops? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know if you caught any of this live if you're in Chicago this week, and if this breakdown gave you chills the same way it gave me. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into everything happening around this tour. We'll see you in the next one.